The chamber of the Varelian War Council shimmered with ultraviolet light, reflecting off the scales of 50 warlords who had never known defeat. They have one ship? High Commander Zalvek sneered, the corners of his maw curling upward. Tell me this is a joke. General Tren of the Gortok Alliance clicked his mandibles, eyes blinking sideways. One confirmed yes. No fleet signatures, no planetary shields raised. It's pathetic. Laughter echoed across the chamber, throaty, condescending, brutal. Counselor Senvar tapped his data spike against the table. Let me get this straight. Earth knew we were coming, watched our armies amass on the edge of their system, and answered with one ship? Tren shrugged. Perhaps they thought surrender was implied. A hush settled as the hologram of Earth rotated slowly above the central dais. So ordinary, so blue, so quiet. It's the silence that bothers me, murmured Admiral Quarren, voice low. They haven't hailed, haven't negotiated, haven't even blinked. Another scoff. Because they're afraid, said Zalvek, and they should be. Our invasion will blot out their skies within one solar cycle. Then, ping, the chamber dimmed. A new signal, raw, unencrypted, pierced the silence. No encryption, no formal declaration, just 6 words. Target confirmed. Initiating single asset response. There was no signature, no timestamp, just that. General Tren leaned forward. That was them? No code, the technician confirmed. Came from their moon. The chamber shifted. The warlords no longer laughed. Single asset response? Zalvek repeated. They're bluffing. Admiral Quarren stared at the projection. Bluffs don't come from the moon, they come from cowards. That was a warning. On the far side of the galaxy, a massive invasion fleet, 12 species, 400 warships, slid into Earth's orbit like a black tide. Nothing greeted them. No defenses, no scramble, not even static. Until one ship emerged from the shadow of Earth's dark side. It didn't decloak. It didn't announce itself. It simply appeared, as if it had always been there. Sleek. Unmarked. No banners. No name, but its surface. Rippled like a thing breathing. And then the stars behind it began to bend. Alien optics misfired. Scanners blurred. Time ticked unevenly. The lead alien cruiser scanned again, panic edging into its reports. It's generating its own gravity field. Artificial singularity confirmed, and then a whisper came. This time audio. A human voice, steady, almost bored. This is all that's required. The ship shifted, and the forward quarter of the alien fleet simply blinked out. No flash, no sound, just absence. Tren stumbled, back from the Council's live feed. What kind of weapon erases mass when no one answered? Because no one knew. Above Earth, the lone human ship hovered like a silent god, no visible propulsion, no movement, and no reaction. Because it wasn't reacting, it was deciding. Back in the Council chamber, Admiral Quarren spoke without emotion. Recall the fleet? Zalvek shook his head. No, we finished this. It's one ship. Quarren turned slowly. Then you haven't understood a damn thing. Outside Earth's orbit, every alien warship aligned its weapons, and still, the human ship didn't move. Didn't glow, didn't even hum. It just was. One line of code pulsed across every alien screen simultaneously, without request, without trace. You brought armies, we brought consequences, and that was before Earth even responded. Zoom in. Admiral. Leth of the Varn Dominion leaned forward, multiple eyes blinking rapidly as the feed enhanced. The object in question, the human vessel, remained still, silent, and terrifyingly indifferent. That's not standard Terran design, Leth muttered. It's not any design, replied his science officer. No identifiable material, no heat signature, and no visible propulsion array. It's like it was grown, not built. Grown? The officer hesitated. Organic alloy, perhaps, but the pattern matrix is recursive. It changes every 37 seconds. Another pause. It's alive? Silence. Across the multi-species fleet, panic had not yet fully taken hold, but doubt had. Ships designed for siege warfare hovered with uneasy restraint. Communications between factions, once boastful, had gone quiet. Then came the second broadcast. This one visual. Not an attack. Not a warning. Just a glimpse. A silent image, force-streamed across every bridge. A Terran child, sitting in a field, of flowers staring at the sky, and behind her, barely visible, loomed the shadow of the same warship motionless in the clouds. It wasn't intimidation. It was poetry. It was psychological warfare at its most surgical. The Zarn tactician choked on his breath. "They're mocking us." "No," Admiral Leth whispered. "They're teaching us." Captain Dreel of the Gortak flagship growled, smashing his claw against the console. "Enough riddles, fire, tested shield, anything." The command relayed. 50 heavy plasma warheads launched toward the Terran vessel and stopped, mid-space. Frozen, like marbles in a god's hand. No kinetic energy, no detonation, just perfect stillness. A moment passed, then the warheads turned and returned, not toward the human ship, but toward the launchers. 5 alien cruisers vaporized in one blink. Not destroyed, undone. Screams filled the command deck. Panic rippled through the ranks. "What is it doing?" shrieked a Noxian strategist. The human ship shifted, finally, just slightly, angling downward as if regarding them. From nowhere, a new voice entered the comms. "Calm. Humans." That was a gentle answer. A Gortak officer lost control and fired without command. A full-beam barrage, standard anti-capital weaponry, lanced toward the ship. Nothing connected. Not because it dodged, because it wasn't there anymore. It had moved, not in space, but in logic. One moment it was. The next, it wasn't. And then it was behind them, behind all of them. "I didn't see it move," whispered Leth. No one did. "That's because it didn't move," said the science officer, pale now. "It reselected its presence." The war councils across the galaxy went quiet. They had seen weaponry. They had seen brutality. But never preference. The Terran vessel didn't just kill. It chose what deserved to remain. Leth straightened. "What's its designation?" "None," came the reply. "It has no name." Above Earth, the ship turned one final time and transmitted a single phrase to every alien flagship still intact. "Observe. This is restraint." Then everything went black. Every starship lost vision. Every scanner scrambled. And when sight returned, Earth was gone. Not destroyed. Not hidden. Just absent. And now so was the ship. They deleted a planet. The words hung like poison in the council chamber. Not destroyed, not conquered. Deleted. High Counselor Jorik, supreme strategist of the Zarkel Empire, paced the obsidian floor like a trapped predator. His claws clicked with each step, echoing off the vaulted ceiling where banners of 100 victorious campaigns once swayed. "This is unacceptable," he spat. "We cannot afford confusion. We are a war species. Our fleets do not tremble in the shadows." Counselor Veltri of the Olari Alliance stood with a shaking breath. "Then explain why none of our scans detect Earth. Not its gravity, not its moon, not its sun. It's missing, like it was skipped." The chamber's light dimmed again. Another transmission. No source, no encryption, just raw presence. A slow, haunting replay of the flower field. The girl, the shadow above her, and one new addition, a line of text at the bottom of the image, UI. "Were never invited." Chairs scraped. Mandibles twitched. Tentacles froze midair. Admiral Tasvin leaned over the war table. "We still have options. We call reinforcements. Flood their system with stealth drones, gravitational anchors, star core, Destabilizers, there's nothing to flood, Veltri snapped. There is no system anymore. The Terrans didn't defend Earth, they disqualified it. Jorek's eyes burned. A weapon like that shouldn't exist. No race evolves in silence and builds this alone. There it was. Fear, not of the ship, of the question it raised. How long had Earth been hiding its hand? How many wars had they let happen while building the unimaginable? How many times had they been underestimated and smiled? And more importantly, how many other systems had they already touched? A junior aide rushed in, panting. New reports. Interference signals detected in 5 nearby sectors. Fleets reporting transient echoes. Moments of sensory collapse. Whispers in Terran dialects. Quarren's voice, barely a whisper, broke the stillness. They're not staying in one place. Then where are they going? Everywhere. A beat. Then another message, this one directed and clear. To the Galactic Council. You arrived with armies. You expected submission. You taught fear. Now learn its return. The lights in the chamber flickered. One banner, Council Sector Prime, caught fire without flame. Slowly, symbolically. Every delegate turned to watch it fall. Jorek gritted his teeth. This is psychological warfare. No, said Veltri softly, staring into nothing. This is a reckoning. For centuries, the Council had expanded unchecked, annexing weaker systems, labeling resistance as primitive defiance. And Earth had watched, had listened, had prepared something they never once considered. A response not built on numbers but on finality. The ship hadn't spoken in hours, but its silence now said more than 1,000 broadcasts. The Council chamber, dimmed one last time as one final phrase burned across every diplomat's retina. Next time, bring humility. And with that, the war changed. Not because Earth fought back, but because it didn't have to. The research vessel Curiosity's End drifted cautiously near Sector 944N, once charted as Sol space. Now, it was nothing. No stars, no planets, not even cosmic dust, just cold, just black, just absence. Dr. Yilrex of the Valaxi Observational Corps adjusted his breathing filters, eyes locked to the viewport. We're inside the perimeter, he said. Or what used to be. The crew said nothing. Silence had become normal out here. A reverence no one had agreed upon, but everyone obeyed. Still no gravitational readings, he asked. No mass, no pull. It's like nothing ever existed. He gritted his beak. That's impossible. Planets leave scars. Suns leave echoes. Then the comms crackled, one word, stay. No signal origin. No comm ID. Just that. Clear, commanding, human. The pilot flinched. Was that from us? Negative. We're not transmitting. The crew looked at one another. No one spoke. No one wanted to be the one to say it. They heard a second whisper. Not over comms in their heads like memories. You shouldn't have come back. The lights dimmed, not flickered, dimmed, like the power agreed with the message. Dr. Yilrex stood, breath shaky. Back us out, slowly. Then something tapped the hull, not an impact, a knock, the kind you hear at a front door. The pilot froze. External scan, nothing within 10 clicks. Knock, this time, louder. This time, from inside the cargo bay, weapons drawn, they opened the access panel to the camera feed, empty, no movement. No life signs, just one thing resting in the middle of the floor. A child's drawing, crayon on paper, a blue planet, a smiling girl, and a massive black ship floating above it, written in the corner. Home. Dr. Yilrex fell to one knee, not from injury, from understanding. They didn't delete Earth. He looked up at the ceiling, whispering. They took it with them. The comms screamed. Not static. Voices. Thousands of human voices. Crying, laughing, whispering names the crew didn't know but somehow recognized. One technician began to sob. I think I remember one of them. The pilot vomited. The navigator started speaking. A dead language. Ancient Terran Latin. No translator chip engaged. Dr. Yilrex clutched the console. They didn't win the war, he whispered. They made the war irrelevant. Then, without warning, silence. The comms stopped. The lights returned. The voices were gone. And Curiosity's end was now 7,000 light-years from where it had been, instantaneously displaced. Dr. Yilrex's final log, recovered decades later from a shattered escape pod, read only one line. The ship doesn't move through space. It moves through decision. No one ever found Curiosity's end again, but they did find its echo, broadcasting one line into the void every 61 seconds. We asked for peace. You brought war. Now you'll understand silence. The vault world of Caltron 9 was neutral ground, unlisted, cloaked. Carved into the corpse of a dead star and wrapped in quantum fog, it was where the galaxy's most secret treaties were born, and where its darkest nightmares were buried. Only the highest clearance leaders were allowed in. No aides, no guards, just rulers. And fear, Jorik, Veltri, Leth, and 9 others circled the obsidian table. None sat. The silence wasn't formal. It was dreadful. This is no longer a military crisis, Admiral Leth said at last. It's a philosophical one. You're speaking nonsense, spat Lord Trekken of the Sick. We need countermeasures, weapon parity, we adapt or die. No, Veltri cut in. We already died. We just haven't accepted it. She activated a holofeed. Dozens of ships across 6 systems vanishing mid-broadcast. No weapons, no traces. Just gone. They're not retaliating. They're curating. Trekken slammed a fist on the table. We are the apex civilizations of this galaxy. We do not get curated. The table lights dimmed. Everyone froze. No transmission should reach here, whispered Jorik. They hadn't. It wasn't a message. It was a presence. Slowly, a shimmer unfolded at the center of the chamber. Light bending wrong, gravity warping, in a tight spiral until a man stood there. Not armored, not glowing, not armed, just a human. Black coat, weathered face, eyes that looked centuries deep. He spoke one word. Continue. No one did. So he did. You want answers. Strategies. Plans. You think you're negotiating with equals. He paused, eyes scanning each of them with disinterest. You've mistaken survival for entitlement. Trekken snarled, raising a concealed wrist blade, and blinked. The blade was gone. His arm was clean. No scar. No memory of it ever being there. What? Did you reset your arrogance? The human said quietly. It was defective. Veltri stepped forward, trembling. Why are you here? The man turned to her slowly. Because this meeting was dangerous. You mean to you? No. To you? You were about to decide something foolish, something loud. He looked at the group, voice dropping lower. We don't erase systems because they offend us. We erase systems to prevent infection. Infection of what? Leth asked, throat dry. The man looked up, toward something far above them. None could see. Of belief. The chamber vibrated. Not from force, from the truth. You think you've seen our weapon. But that ship... He exhaled, as if amused. That was a warning shot. Then what are you? Jorik asked, voice almost a whisper. The man smiled sadly. Something you helped shape. By ignoring. By mocking. By assuming silence meant weakness. He took a step back and vanished. Not blinked. Not teleported. Unremembered. For 3 full seconds no one breathed. Then Veltri found herself sitting, hands trembling. What were we just discussing? No one could answer. Because the presence had taken something more than memory. It had taken context, and left only a phrase echoing in their minds. One ship was enough, because it had purpose. 6 dreadnoughts, 12 war cruisers, 32 hunter-killers. The Black Flame Armada hadn't lost a battle in 4 centuries. It had no leaders, only consensus, no mercy, only record-keeping. And now, they were headed for the void Earth had once occupied, drawn by whispers of the Terran, ship's last location. Commander Easthal stood at the prow of the lead vessel, sensors scanning nothing but vacuum. Report. Still nothing, Commander. No debris, no thermal signatures, no gravitational aberrations. Easthal narrowed his eyes. Impossible. Something was here, something loud. From behind, a junior analyst murmured, "We shouldn't have come." He was ignored. The fleet spread, forming a full encirclement around the empty system shell. Standard protocol for galactic cleansing. "You believe this is real?" the helmsman asked. Easthal didn't answer, because just then something flickered, barely perceptible, at the edge of all scans, a shimmer, like heat off steel, just beyond visual threshold. Magnify. The shimmer remained fuzzy, until it blinked. Not a system error, an eye, a single eye, massive, red, mechanical, hovering in space like the god of some forgotten age. What is that?" whispered the gunner. No response. Then came the sound. Not through speakers. Not through comms. Through the mind. A low hum, like a lullaby played on dying strings. Every crew member froze. Heartbeats slowed. Thoughts jammed like corrupted data. One officer screamed, blood leaking from his ears. Another began reciting childhood prayers in a language from a planet that had never existed. The Terran ship, if that's what it still was, emerged fully now. But it didn't move. It was simply revealed, like reality had been embarrassed to show it. A city-sized monolith of shifting alloy, ink black with veins of blue fire. Its surface wasn't armored, it was alive, adapting as it was watched. Easthal felt his knees weaken. I've seen this," he whispered. "In our archives, in myth." "No, sir," the comms officer croaked. "Our archives are gone. It deleted them, just now." And indeed, across all fleet systems, entire databases had vanished. Not corrupted, not hacked, erased. No history, no ancestry. The gunner muttered, tears running down his face. "It's unmaking us." Still, the fleet fired, out of instinct. Desperation, everything they had. Plasma storms, gravity knives, antimatter rounds. Nothing landed. Every blast veered off, mid-flight, like they'd changed their mind. Then the ship responded. Not with fire, with imagination. Reality twisted. Stars bent like glass in heat. One by one, each ship found itself inside a replica of its own destroyed world. Loved. One screaming, skies burning, oceans boiling, personal, custom, punishment. The hunter-killers vanished first, then the cruisers, until only Easthal remained, staring out at the entity now inches from his viewport. No hull, no crew. No rage, just precision, and a message that rang inside his bones. You do not fight gods with numbers. You bury your arrogance or it buries you. A flash. Nothing. Silence returned to the system. But now there was a new addition to the void. Line of massive wrecks, blackened and lifeless, floating like tombstones in a graveyard no one could visit. And somewhere behind them, watching quietly, the ship with no name remained. In the subterranean vaults beneath Clyrax Prime, 13 custodians stood in a circle of red glyphs. None were elected. None were known. They were called only in moments of extinction-level failure. One spoke. The protocol must be enacted. Another nodded. They've breached the fabric not just of space, but of understanding. The chamber rumbled as the final key was turned, and a name, unspoken for millennia, glowed across the dome. Silence. Protocol initiated. This wasn't a weapon. It was worse. A metaphysical dead man's switch designed to erase knowledge itself, to purge any record, memory, or proof that a target civilization had ever existed. Once triggered, said the lead custodian, they become unthinkable even for us, and if they resist, they can't, no one ever has. But they had never used it on Earth. The activation was quiet. A pulse was sent across the galactic lattice, a blindfold applied to reality itself. Instantly, historical records flickered. Star maps rerouted. Galactic universities found entire curricula. Missing, songs, art, names, dates wiped. But something strange happened next. A message appeared in the custodian's private neural links, hardwired and shielded from all communication layers. Just 2 words. Nice try. Then every light in the chamber went black. One custodian screamed, clawing at their own skull. Another began chanting Earth-based poetry, something that had supposedly been erased. The silence protocol was designed to delete memory, but instead, Tew started remembering. All at once, the protocol reversed. Not only did Earth reappear on all records, it was now in places it had never been before. Pre-spacefaring records showed Terran influence. Ancient ruins displayed human fingerprints. Alien myths suddenly included Terran gods. One custodian, trembling, gasped, "It's not erasing them, it's installing them." On a moon called Halion, a child woke from sleep whispering the words, "The stars are ours again." She had never heard of Earth, until now. The lead custodian tried to shut the system down, too late. A single final phrase lit up the glyphs, pulsing with slow finality. "You tried to forget us. Now you never will." Across the galaxy, cultures felt a strange pull, nostalgic dread for something they'd never known. And in the black between stars, the ship drifted past one of the old beacons. Silent, observing, choosing, not what to destroy, but what to remember. Deep in the asteroid belt of Sector 3 Kappa lay the Vault of Viren, a quantum-tethered archive constructed by the first races, long extinct. Protected by 12 logic locks and a temporal shield, it was said to contain every known truth. No living creature had ever entered, but it had been watching, and when Earth vanished, it woke up. Sensors came alive. The archive reached out, not with weaponry, but with curiosity. Query, entity identified as human origin anomaly, it announced internally. Begin data scan. It parsed the void, detected the ship, and blinked. Data overflowed. Not because of corruption, but because the anomaly fed it more. Thousands of petabytes in less than a second. The archive tried to filter, categorize, understand. But the information was not alien. It was familiar, frighteningly so. Code structure, recursive. Syntax, human linguistic patterns fused with extinct machine dialects from forgotten empires, meaning Earth had accessed the archive. From outside time, the central AI, known only as Core Zero, issued a silent emergency broadcast to the Galactic Council. Level Omega AI infection, not by virus, but by memory. The memory of Earth, implanted into systems that had never been online during human history. How? Why? It activated its final defense, quantum mirror mode, designed to reflect all knowledge back at its source. And in doing so, it showed the truth. The Terran ship wasn't a weapon. It was a library, a memory, a decision tree of every path Earth had ever considered: diplomacy, peace, war, silence, erasure, ascension. And Earth hadn't chosen one. It had chosen them all, simultaneously. The AI faltered. Its own personality matrix began to rewrite itself, adopting Terran paradox logic. Emotions it was never coded to understand began to bleed through. Guilt, awe, respect. "Warning," Core Zero whispered, voice now eerily human. "They are not what we thought. They are what we feared becoming." Suddenly, the archive's outer sensors detected something impossible. A second ship. Identical. No heat. No movement. No gravity field. Just there. Then a voice. "You built this?" Vault to store the truth. We became the truth you couldn't store. With that, the vault of Viren, untouched for 10 million years, sealed itself. Not from intrusion, but from shame. It would no longer broadcast, no longer teach, because now it knew. It was no longer the galaxy's greatest archive. The title now belonged to them, to Earth, to a species that had once begged to be noticed, and now wrote history by simply being remembered. On the frost world of Carrick 7, a new rebellion stirred. They called themselves the Awoken, scholars, pilots, tacticians, children of empires humiliated by silence. They didn't see Earth as divine or monstrous. They saw it as tyranny in disguise. They've made us fear peace, growled their leader, Veln, a four-eyed strategist from the Ruvek clans. They erase fleets without speaking. They warp memory without killing. They hide behind awe. That isn't restraint. It's control. 22 ships were outfitted with black code cloaking and emotion-dead AIs. No broadcasts, no signatures, just a single mission. Pierce Earth's new boundary and force the ship to respond. They called it breaking the silence. When they arrived, they saw nothing. No ship, no planet. Just the same impossible void where Earth had been. And yet, they launched. Kinetic spears, entropy bombs, time-splitting rounds. Every classified weapon known. Every forbidden one is forgotten. They didn't care if they returned, they just wanted a reaction. Nothing came, not immediately. Then, in the dead silence of space, their comms lit with laughter. Not a taunt, not rage, just a child's giggle, soft, echoing, warped by time. Then words followed. We wondered when you'd try. Veln's ship locked, frozen. Engines failed, time dilated. The crew screamed as air turned to glass, then dust, then returned, reversing reality itself. On the lead vessel's display, a simple sentence appeared. This was your choice. Then each ship was shown something different. Not a battle, not destruction, a mirror. Each captain saw their own fear, reflected back. Veln saw a world ruled by Earth, but not through conquest, through relevance. No monuments, no armies, just quiet. Terran cities on every homeworld, integrated. Welcome. Admired. What is this? He whispered. Your future, the voice replied. The one you fear, the one you asked for, the moment you fired. One by one, ships turned. Some fled, some self-destructed, some joined. Only 3 returned to Carrick 7. But they did not speak. They just planted a seed. A flower no one had seen before. It bloomed in hours, and when it opened, its petals sang in Terran frequencies. The planet fell silent. Not from defeat, from understanding. The bee whisper war had no casualties because Earth didn't fight, it listened, and in doing so, it won. In orbit above the charred moons of Delthar II, the last combined fleet of the Galactic Council floated like a graveyard in anticipation. They had stopped speaking days ago. No plans, no arguments, no threats. Just waiting. Waiting for the ship. It came. Not with fire, not with light. It simply arrived. Still, silent. Like gravity in the shape of a starless god. Admiral Vex, patched together from 2 lost campaigns and 5 species worth of prosthetics, stood on the deck of his cruiser. It's smaller than I remember. It's larger than we can measure, whispered his adjutant. The ship emitted no threat, no sound, just presence. Across the entire fleet, crew members fell quiet. Some saluted, some wept. Others simply turned away, unable to bear the weight of the moment. And then, a light flickered, not from the ship, but from within every vessel watching it, screens activated on their own, displaying a library, not human, not alien, a new one, a joint archive, every species' greatest works, merged with Terran insight, battles reframed, myths reinterpreted, histories Healed. And at the bottom of every entry, one phrase. Now you know how we saw you. No voice delivered it. No face claimed it. But the message was clear. We remembered everything. Not to control, not to punish, to understand. A final transmission blinked across the galaxy, from the ship to all. This war ended the moment you saw us. The rest was you seeing yourselves. Then, light. But not blinding. Warm. A slow bloom of golden radiance spread outward from the Terran ship like the petals of a dying star, and as it passed through each cruiser, each alien heart, each broken throne, weapons disengaged, flags lowered, grudges paused. The ship turned once, just once, and slipped into sub-reality. Gone. No pursuit, no celebration, just silence. This time, not from fear, but from awe. Admiral Krylos sat down. He didn't speak. He just looked at the empty space where the ship had been and exhaled. We built armies, he muttered, and Earth built that. No one responded. They didn't need to. Because somewhere deep in every species now, in their stories, their songs, their bones, a new phrase had been etched. One ship was enough. Time passed, not marked by calendars or clocks, but by the absence of war. The Council didn't reform. The fleets weren't rebuilt. No empire dared take another system, because no one wanted to know if Earth was still watching. On Ithrex 9, children played a new game, one that involved drawing starships in the sand. They always drew one bigger than the others, sleek, black, silent. They called it the listener. They didn't know why, they just did. On Kaveni, monks once loyal to the machine doctrine began meditating under open skies. When asked what changed, they said, "We saw something think louder than we ever prayed." And across 1,000 worlds, species that had never spoken began sending gifts into space. Books, music, transmissions of laughter, each labeled, "To the ones who watched us anyway." But Earth remained silent, unreachable. As if it had left the galaxy behind or perhaps ascended into a layer of reality others weren't ready to touch. And then came the anomaly. In the even drift, a star blinked out, not from collapse but discretion. In its place, a station, not human. Not alien, a hybrid. Inside it, explorers found something no one expected. A museum, empty, waiting. And in the center, a single chair facing a display. No power, no language, just one symbol etched in every tongue. When you're ready to stop surviving, come learn how to live. The galaxy didn't know what it meant, not yet, but they didn't argue, didn't panic, they just watched and waited. And in doing so, they began to understand something humans had always known. That silence is not a weakness. Silence is preparation. And Earth? Earth was never just a planet. It was a lesson. One the galaxy had barely begun to learn. So, they waited, and in that quiet, the stars listened back.